Chapter 37. Meat s'mores roasting on an open fire. Nothing beats camping out in a dreary Jotunheim forest while your friend stitches runes on a giant bowling bag. All day? Alex complained when Blitz estimated his time until completion. Granted, she was a little grumpy after being smacked down by a giant shoelace, getting cut with a knife, and having her blood drain into a thermos cap. We're on the clock here, dwarf. I know that. Blitz spoke calmly, like he was addressing a Nidavellir kindergarten class. I also know that we're completely exposed here in the middle of giant territory, and Sam and Hoth are missing, which is killing me. But our best chance of finding them and getting the information we need is by reaching Utgard Loki's palace. The best way to do that without dying is enchanting this bag, so unless you know a faster way, yes, it'll take me all day. I may have to walk through the night as well. Alex scowled, but arguing with Blitzen's logic was as pointless as arguing with his fashion sense. What are we supposed to do then? Bring me meals and water, Blitz said. Keep watch, especially at night, so I don't get eaten by trolls. And cross your fingers that this works. And that Sam and Hoth show up in the meantime. And Magnus, let me borrow your sword. I summoned Jack, who was happy to help. Oh, sewing? His blade runes glowed with excitement. This reminds me of the Great Icelandic Sew-Off in 886 CE. Frey and I destroyed the competition. A lot of warriors went home weeping. We shamed their stitching and darning skills so bad, I decided not to ask. The less I knew about my father's sewing victories, the better. While Jack and Blitz talked strategy, Alex and I made camp. She brought supplies too, so in no time we'd set up a nice level spot with a couple of pup tents and a stone-ringed fire pit. He must have camped a lot, I noted. She shrugged, arranging twigs for kindling. I love the outdoors. Me and some kids at my pottery studio in Brookline Village, we used to go up to the mountains just to get away. She packed a lot of emotion in those last two words. Get away. A pottery studio? I asked. She scowled as if trying to detect sarcasm. Maybe she'd fielded dumb questions from people like, oh, you make pottery? How cute. I used to like Play-Doh when I was young. The studio was the only consistent place for me, she said. They let me crash there when things were bad at home. From her pack, she dug out a box of wooden matches. Her fingers seemed to fumble when she took a few sticks from the box. The cut on her forehead had turned a darker shade of green, but she still refused to let me heal it. The thing about clay, she said. It can turn into any shape. I get to decide what's best for each piece. You just sort of listen to what the clay wants. I know that sounds stupid. You're saying this to a guy with a talking sword. She snorted. I suppose, but the matches fell out of her hand. She sat down hard, her face suddenly chalky. Whoa! I scooted over to her. You're going to have to let me heal that head wound. Gods only know what kind of bacteria was on Tiny's shoestring. And you donating blood to Blitz's arts and crafts didn't help. No, I don't want... She faltered. There's a first aid kit in my bag. A first aid kit isn't going to do. What were you about to say? Alex touched her forehead and winced. Nothing. You said I don't want... This! She snapped. You nosing around in my business. Samira told me that when you heal people like the elf Hearthstone, you get inside their heads. You see stuff. I don't want that. I looked away, my hands turning numb. In the fire pit, Alex's kindling pyramid fell apart. Her matches had scattered in a room-like pattern, but if it meant anything, I couldn't read it. I thought about something half-born Gunderson had once told me about the wolf packs. Each wolf pushes the limits when it's pack. They're constantly testing where they stand in the hierarchy, where they can sleep, how much they can eat of a fresh kill. They continue to push until the alpha wolf snaps at them and reminds them of their place. I hadn't realized I was pushing, but I just gotten a first-rate alpha snapping. I don't really control what happens when I heal. I was surprised that my voice still worked. With Hearth, I had to use a lot of power. He was almost dead. I don't think I could read much from you while just fixing an infected cut. I'll try not to anyway. But if you don't get some healing... She stared at the bandage on the spot where Blitzen had taken blood from her arm. Yeah, okay, just... Forehead only, nothing inside. I touched her brow. She was burning up with fever. I summoned the power of Frey and Alex let out a gasp. Instantly her wound closed. Her skin cooled. Her color returned to normal. My hands were hardly glowing at all. Something about being out in the wilderness, surrounded by nature, seemed to make things easier. I didn't learn a thing, I promised Alex. You're still a mystery wrapped in a question mark wrapped in a flannel. She exhaled, making a sound between a laugh and a sigh of relief. Thanks, Magnus. Now maybe we can actually get this fire started. She didn't call me Maggie or Beantown, and I chose to take that as a peace offering. Once we had a good blaze going, we tried to figure out the best way to repurpose Fadlan's falafel over an open flame. We learned an important lesson. One cannot make s'mores out of lamb meat and chickpea patties. Mostly we ate the chocolate from Uncle Randolph's house. Blitz took the better part of the morning spinning his magic thread on his collapsible travel spindle. Of course he had one of those in his kit bag. Why wouldn't he? Meanwhile, Jack flew up and down the side of the bowling bag, perforating the pattern Blitz wanted him to sew. Alex and I kept watch, but nothing much happened. Sam and Hearthstone didn't appear. No giants eclipsed the sun or destroyed the forest with their untied shoelaces. The most dangerous thing we spotted was a red squirrel in a branch above our campfire. It probably wasn't a threat, but since meeting Ratatosk, I took no chances. I kept an eye on it until it leapt to another tree. In the afternoon, things got more exciting. After we fed Blitz some lunch, he and Jack got to work on the actual stitching. Somehow, perhaps with magic, Blitz had made a whole pile of shimmering red yarn from my hair. Alex Fierro's blood, and then the threads from his own vest. Blitz tied one end of Jack's pommel, and Jack flew back and forth across the side of the bag, diving in and out of the leather like a dolphin, leaving a shimmering trail of stitches. Watching him reminded me of how we'd tied up Fenris Wolf, which was a memory I didn't really care to have. Blitzen called out directions. "You left, Jack! Drop that stitch! Okay, give me a back stitch! Bunny punched me a hole on the end there!" Alex nibbled her chocolate bar. Bunny punch? I have no idea, I admitted. Maybe inspired by the sewing display, Alex unthreaded her garrote from her belt loops. She ran the metal wire across the soles of her boots, scraping off icy mud. "Why that weapon?" I asked. "Or you can just tell me to shut up again." Alex gave me a sideways smile. "You're fine. It started out as my clay cutter." "Clay cutter? Like the wire you run through a slab of clay? You figured that one out on your own?" "Ha ha. I'm guessing most clay cutters don't have combat applications." "Not so much. She hesitated. "Loki visited me one day at the studio. He was trying to impress me, show me how much he could do for me. He taught me an enchantment I could use to make a magical weapon. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of helping me, so I tried to spell on the stupidest, most innocuous thing I could think of. I didn't figure a wire with dowel handles could ever be a weapon." "And yet?" Alex pointed to a nearby boulder, a rough chunk of granite about the size of a piano. She lashed out with her garrote, holding one end like a whip. The wire lengthened as it flew. The far end wrapped around the boulder and held fast. Alex yanked it toward her. The top half of the boulder slid off the bottom half with a grinding sound like a lid being removed from a porcelain cookie jar. The wire flew back to Alex's hand. "Pretty good." I tried not to let my eyes pop out of their sockets. "But does it make French fries?" Alex muttered something about stupid boys, which I'm sure had nothing to do with me. The afternoon light faded quickly. Over at the bowling bag, Blitz and Jack kept working on their entry in the great Jotunheim sew-off. The shadows got longer. The temperature plunged. I noticed this because Blitz had recently given me a drastic haircut and exposed my neck. I was just grateful there were no mirrors around to show me the horrors Blitz had worked upon my head. Alex threw another tree branch into the fire. "You might as well ask." I stirred. "Sorry?" "You want to ask me about Loki," Alex prompted. "Why I put his symbol on my pottery. Why I have a tattoo. You want to know if I'm working for him." Those questions had been lurking in the back of my mind, but I didn't understand how Alex could know that. I wondered if my healing touch had backfired somehow. Maybe I'd given Alex a look inside my head. "I guess it worries me," I admitted. "You act as if you don't like Loki. I don't. Then why his symbol?" Alex cupped her hands around the back of her neck. "That design? The two entwined snakes, it's usually called the earnest snakes. Named after some place in Norway. Anyway, it's not necessarily a symbol of Loki." She laced her fingers and wiggled them around. "The snakes signify change and flexibility. Being versatile. People started using the snakes to represent Loki, and Loki was fine with that. But I decided, why does Loki get to take over that cool symbol? I like it. I'm making it mine. He doesn't get to own the symbol for change any more than he owns me. To Helheim with what people think." I watched the flames break down another piece of wood. A swarm of orange sparks rose from the pit. I remembered my dream of Alex's suite, Loki turning into a woman with red hair. I thought about the hesitation in Alex's voice when she talked about Loki as her parent. You're like the eight-legged horse, I realized. Alex frowned. Stanley? No, the original eight-legged horse. What's his name? Sleipnir? Mallory Keene told me the story. Something about Loki turning into a beautiful mare so he could lure a giant stallion away. And then Loki got pregnant. She gave birth to Sleipnir. I glanced at Alex, very aware of the garrote now lying across her thigh. Loki's not your father, is he? He's your mom. Alex just stared at me. I thought, well, here comes the wire. Goodbye, limbs. Goodbye, head. She surprised me with a sour laugh. I think that haircut improved your brain power. I resisted the urge to pat my hatted locks. So I'm right. Yes. She tugged at her glittery pink bootlaces. I wish I could have seen the look on my dad's face when he found out. From what I gather, Loki shapeshifted into the sort of woman my dad liked. My dad was already married, but that never stopped him. He was used to getting what he wanted. He had an affair with a voluptuous redhead. 9 months later, Loki showed up at my dad's doorstep with a little baby as a present. I tried to imagine Loki in his usual dashing form, maybe wearing a green tuxedo, ringing the doorbell of some upscale house in the suburbs. Hi, I was that lady you had a fling with. Here's our kid. How'd your mortal mom react? I asked. I mean, your dad's wife. I mean, your stepmother. It's confusing, huh? Alex tossed another stick into the fire. My stepmom wasn't happy about it. I grew up with 2 parents who resented me and found me embarrassing. Then there was Loki, who kept showing up at random times trying to parent me. Man, I said. Woman, today. Alex corrected. No, I mean, I stopped, realizing she was teasing me. What happened? When did you finally leave home? 2 years ago, more or less. As for what happened? A lot. This time I recognized the warning tone in her voice. I was not welcome to ask for more details. Still, Alex had become homeless around the same time my mom died. The same time I ended up on the streets. That coincidence didn't sit well with me. Before I could chicken out, I blurted, Did Loki ask you to come with us? She locked eyes with me. What do you mean? I told her about my dream. Her throwing pots at her mother, Loki, saying, It's such a simple request. It was fully dark now, though I wasn't sure when that had happened. In the firelight, Alex's face seemed to shift and jump. I tried to tell myself it wasn't the Loki part of her revealing itself. It was just change, flexibility. Those twisting snakes on her neck were completely innocent. You've got it wrong, Alex said. He told me not to come. A strange pulsing sound filled in my ears. I realized it was my own heartbeat. Why would Loki tell you that? And what were you and Sam talking about last night? Some plan? She curled her garrote around her hands. Maybe you'll find out, Magnus. And by the way, if you ever spy on me in your dreams... Guys! Blitzen yelled from Mount Bowling Bag. Come take a look!